What is going on, guys? Welcome back. Today we're doing another in-depth look at one of the most viable competitive Pokemon I have ever seen. This Pokemon is called Pyukumuku. I'd like to give a special shout out to Joe from Cerebi for recommending this Pokemon. I actually didn't know anything about this Pokemon at all until he told me to do it, and as he's a friend of mine, I wanted to give it a good look. So you can imagine that I was absolutely blown away. So what are the defining characteristics of Pyukumuku? Oh, I'm so sorry. Actually, that's so rude. Let me introduce myself. My name is Wolfe Glick. I'm the 2016 Pokemon World Champion, and this is my guide series to teach you guys, give you guys like a starting point and some good ideas to think about for this next season's upcoming VGC format. VGC formats where you can win like thousands of dollars in prizes, trips all over the world, get to meet some really cool people. So it's a really cool format. There's a lot of really cool tournaments, and we get to use some really cool Pokemon. So Pyukumuku. What are the defining things about Pyukumuku? First of all, its ability is called Innards Out, which means that once it gets knocked out, however much HP it had left before it was knocked out, like in the last attack, it deals to the opponent. So it's basically a final gambit, which makes it really discourages opponents from attacking Pyukumuku a lot, in my opinion. So I think that's very interesting. And the other thing about this Pokemon is that it doesn't learn a single move that can do damage. It learns Bide. It learns Counter. Oh, it learns Counter. I didn't even notice that the first time. And that might be just about it. Yeah, those are the only moves that it learns that can do damage, which I think is really funny. Yeah. Yes. As for its stats, it's got low base HP, which kind of you'd expect with a great ability like Innards Out. Low attack doesn't matter. Huge defense and special defense. Low special attack and base 5 speed. I'm sorry, guys. This Pokemon actually geeks me out. I think it's actually one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my entire life. I don't know why. I'm just losing it. But I will try and keep it together for you guys because you deserve this. So let's talk about Pyukumuku. First set. I was trying to think of what you want this thing to do, and I think basically what you're trying to do is discourage the opponent from attacking it. So basically, you don't want them to attack. They don't want to attack it because of Innards Out, and that will give you that will allow you to use Toxic, helping it to support the team, protect it, Mental Herb to keep it around, and make it not weak to Taunt, and Soak is an amazing move that's super underutilized. Unfortunately, Pyukumuku being so slow, it's not going to be able to use Soak a lot for offensive things, but to take away opponents' stab and as well as other things, I think Soak is a really cool move. So I ran some calcs, and I honestly couldn't find anything too worthwhile. Psychic doesn't KO, and Woodhammer always KOs. And then I was like, okay, you really want I think what would be really cool is let's say you had a Pokemon on the field that was weak to Taboo Lily, and you wanted to bait them into using Woodhammer, so you could switch to Pyukumuku, and then because of Woodhammer, they'd take 162 damage, it would always OHKO, and then they'd KO themselves with Recoil. So the same thing here is with Tapu Koko. So you always KO Tapu Koko and Tapu Bulu, which is really funny. And that's the primary, that's your first set. But then I was thinking a little bit more, and I was like, okay, it actually got some cool supporting options. So then I came up with this set. So again, Helping Hand is really, really interesting here. And you also get Reflect and Light Screen with Clay. Again, kind of the opponent doesn't want to attack into Pyukumuku because if they KO it, they take damage. And I think you can abuse that by using this Pokemon as a support for the rest of your team, using Helping Hand to boost your offense, Reflect and Light Screen to boost your defense, and when you've had enough, if they're not KOing you, you can use Memento to really lower their offensive capability. So I think that's really interesting. The EVs here, again, this is a Pokemon that's really weird to EV. I couldn't really come up with anything specific. I just wanted to make sure that you still got KO'd by Woodhammer through Reflect. So don't worry, guys. Even if you set up Reflect, Tapu Bulu Woodhammer should still be KOing you. So that's really interesting. Yes. And then I was like, okay, so I don't really feel like I have a ton of freedom in terms of exploring the actual Pokemon here to kind of explore, so let's take a look at some of the partners. So here's what I came up with. First of all, I think Tapu Koko is a really, really clever partner here. If you want to know where this exact set came from and why it does what it does, make sure to check out in the description. I have a guide to Tapu Koko, where I explain this set, other Tapu Koko sets, among other things. But basically, I think this Tapu Koko set pairs very well with this first Pyukumuku because you can protect Tapu Koko, and they're like, okay, what's the threat? And they're like, okay, Tapu Koko, and they're like, okay, and then so you protect Tapu Koko, and they attack it, and then you soak whatever the threat was to Tapu Koko, and all of a sudden they have a Pokemon. It doesn't matter what it was. Now it's weak to Electric. So they had a Garchomp, and they wanted to Earthquake. Nope, it's suddenly OHKO'd by Wild Charge. And with Helping Hand, you just do so much damage with all these attacks, and you can always just U-turn out. I also like it because Pyukumuku, Tapu Koko encourages the opponent to use ground type attacks, especially Earthquake, which is one of the most common ground type attacks. But the thing is that if they're using Earthquake, they're attacking Pyukumuku, and they could risk taking themselves out. So when you have a move like Brave Bird, or even U-turn for Pokemon like Crocodile, which is going to do not a lot of damage, but a bit, it's really good to kind of bait your opponent into attacking. And then I thought, okay, what's the next thing we can come up with here? So Taboo seems like a really good partner, but what else can we come up with? And I thought about Taboo Lily here, again with the Choice Scarf set. And the idea here is that helping... Oh, actually, wait, sorry, guys. We have a calc for that Tapu Koko. I ran -1 Helping Hand Wild Charge against no bulk Arcanine, and it OHKO'd a lot of the time, which is really, really, really convincing. And so I thought that was awesome. Basically, Helping Hand plus Life Orb plus Electric Train is 1.5 times 1.5 times 1.3 times your stab, which is 1.5 times the moves, like... Well, not times the move's base power, but, like, you basically get, like... 1.5 times 1.5 times 1.5 times 1.3, which is stab, electric terrain, helping hand, and life orb, and that's just so much damage, and it becomes like a monster. Yeah. Next up, we have Tapu Lele. This is also a set I featured on my in my Tapu Lele guide. I have guides for both Tapu Koko and Tapu Lele up at the moment. If you're interested in them, please go check them out. They're in the description down below. And yeah, so this Choice Scarf set is very interesting, and what it kind of suffers from is a lack of damage output in general. Like, I think you want a Choice Scarf Tapu Lele to be OHKOing stuff, and you can't really do that with just regular Choice Scarf Tapu Lele. It's nice because it's immune to Fake Out, but it's, it definitely struggles because if you don't OHKO something, it struggles a bit. So the way that you can mitigate this is actually, I ran some calcs with Helping Hand Tapu Lele, and this always OHKOs max HP, 12 special defense, boosting nature, Arcanine in Psychic Terrain, so that's very bulky Arcanine, that's like, and it's not super effective or anything, it's just like Helping Hand boosted, so it's basically an incredibly powerful move, and I was like, alright, what else can we hit here? And I thought about Gyarados as well, so you always OHKO, like, standard Gyarados, which doesn't invest a lot in bulk, with Psychic, with the Scarf Pokemon, so, Arcanine might try to capitalize on like, outspeeding Tapu Lele and using, like, Snarl or something to lower its damage output, but with this set, with this Helping Hand, you can, like, there's not a lot that gets Helping Hand in these games, so the fact that you have a really strong Pokemon with Helping Hand, I think actually makes Pyukumuku, I wouldn't say, like, super viable, but it gives it a niche, right, where you can use Tapu Lele plus Pyukumuku to OHKO whatever you want, and so I think that makes it very interesting. And guys, you can also feel free to mix and match the two moves from this set. I'd actually like to give a big shout out to Duncan, who told me about this strategy, which I think is really funny. Here's the idea. No, not like this! Here's the idea. Muck has 212 HP stat, right? So what you can do is use Muck's Power of Alchemy ability, and this is all Duncan, guys. So if you please, if you want to see more like of his ideas and his content, go check him out. I'll put his channel in the link down below. But he told me about this combination where what you do is you pair Muck with Pyukumuku, and when the opponent knocks out Pyukumuku, they take damage from its Innards Out ability, and then because of Power of Alchemy, Muck gets Innards Out, which first of all is a hilarious visual, but more importantly, it means that Muck, with its 252 HP EVs, has 212 base HP stats, so it's, like, pretty high base HP, and, like, it means that if they KO it, and especially if they one-shot it, like, they're going to take a lot of damage. So I thought that was very, very clever. And in this situation, you give the Muck, like, a recovery item, like Black Sludge. You give it Black Sludge so that if they don't KO it, you can heal more HP, so that, like they can't just chip away at you without at least you getting some health back. So I think that's really funny. And lastly, we have Tapu Bulu here, because Tapu Bulu will heal. It's the same kind of idea. I actually think Leftovers, if you wanted to use Tapu Bulu and Pyukumuku, I think what you could do is run Leftovers on Pyukumuku, and that way, like, they might, like, what people might try to do is get Pyukumuku into low HP range before KOing it, so they don't take a lot from Innards Out. But thanks to Grassy Terrain and also Leftovers, what you can do is keep healing Pyukumuku with Grassy Terrain and give it Toxic and run Helping Hand. So, like, kind of like this first set, let's say, just, like, picture it like this. So, like, this first set with Leftovers. Sorry, guys. I don't know what I'm doing. Leftovers. And then you pair it with Tapu Bulu, so it's healing 12% a turn from Leftovers and Grassy Surge. It's Helping Hand boosting Woodhammer, which is already getting, it's again the 1.5 times 1.5 boost. And then lastly, you can soak opponents who are, like, threatening to Tapu Bulu, and all of a sudden you can OHKO them with Woodhammer, and then you can also Toxic and chip away at them that way. So they're kind of, like, forced to deal with Pyukumuku. But, like, if they deal with Pyukumuku too fast, then they take a ton of damage, and if they ignore it, it heals all the health, all the damage that you did because it's so bulky. So actually, I think that's my favorite strategy. I know that was kind of like end of the video kind of thing, but I think that's definitely my favorite strategy that I've seen so far, or that I've thought about with Pyukumuku. So, shout outs in this video. Shout out to Duncan for the idea with the Muck. Shout out to Joe for loving Pyukumuku. I hope that this video was informative, especially for you, Joe, because you're the best. Everyone else, thank you for watching. You guys are also the best. And I really appreciate it. If you guys have any feedback for me, please make sure to leave it in the comments down below. If there's more Pokemon you want to see, let me know. I have, like, some I have to get through, like for my own personal goals. Like, I have stuff I want to get through, Pokemon I want to get through relatively soon, but yeah, other than that, I'm taking suggestions. I'm reading all the comments. So thank you guys so much for your support. If you have other suggestions, if you have suggestions for also if you have suggestions for sets that you want me to advertise, I will definitely take a look at them. I can't promise anything because I want to advertise kind of like what I think are like the most viable competitive sets. But if you have an idea and you think it's cool and you send it to me, I will definitely consider it. So that's a bit long-winded. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you guys next time.